Hi, nobodies. I am back today. Um, Excuse the hair. I'm no maintenance. Um, so I vape. I used to smoke. I smoked cigarettes well over 20 years. I started smoking when I was 12. It was kind of funny. I was hanging out with my friend, and we had one of those fake cigarettes, like you blow into it, and it would puff out a little smoke. So we were out there. My friend Corey had a her grandpa owned like a novelty store. So I would hang out there after school. Always had so much fun. Well, this one day, we're 12, and I think Corey wanted to impress a boy or something. So she was like, "We're gonna pretend we're smoking." So instead of blowing out on it, I sucked in whatever was in there. I think it was like baby powder or something. I don't know. But I was like, fuck this. Give me a real cigarette. And I thought I was smoking for like 2, 3 months um, until I was spending the night at another friend's house, Crystal. And her cousin looked at me and she said, "You're not inhaling. You're just wasting that cigarette." And I was like, "I'm not inhaling." So she showed me how, because I was just like holding the smoke in my mouth and blowing it out. And and that started things. So I'd been smoking since I was 12, and at like 40, I or 39, I quit and moved on to vaping. And now they're trying to say that vaping is harming people. It's gonna kill people. And I had already talked about, they were talking about legislation to like ban it in Arkansas. And see, honestly, like if it gets banned, I'll be smoking cigarettes again because I'm mental, okay? It is something I have to do. It's like I have to do it. If I'm not smoking, I am seriously picking my fingers will be bloody from picking at them. And if I've got fake nails on and can't pick at my fingers, then I will find something else to do that is equally destructive. So it's, I need to smoke something, you know? And seriously, I couldn't smoke weed like that. No, I'd be too fucking high. I'd be in a state of panic if I didn't get the right kind. Um, I'm very sensitive to things. You wouldn't know it from my past, but I am very sensitive. One beer and I'm done. Because if I have 2 beers, I'm sick. I'm spending the rest of the night puking in the toilet. But one beer is just a little bit buzzed, so I can't like get like the kind of drunk where you get a hangover. It's like I'm either here and just a little bit fun, silly, or I'm gonna be hanging over the toilet. But I have fun before that happens, but it's not worth it. Um, so the stuff that they're saying is pretty scary. But I do know that I saw a video and people were talking about somebody smoking like 3 Juul pods a fucking day. And I was like, well, it might be the nicotine. Because, you got to worry. You can OD on nicotine. And who knows what else. So, if they go back, but I'm going to have to do my research because I really don't want to go back to cigarettes because I hate the way that they smell. Like, if they can make them smell good, no problem. Because then I can go back to drinking caffeine and not feeling the effects of it. My anxiety will go down because it coats everything that they put in those cigarettes. It coats all your receptors. Because I've got to smoke something, but I have to wonder, like, when you do the little cigarette things, that are like the electronic cigarette, which I know a lot of people call vapes electronic cigarettes. That's not what I consider an electronic cigarette. Electronic cigarette to me is something that looks like a cigarette, but it's made out of like metal, and you've got like a little cartridge, and it tastes like cigarettes, which I really don't want. But Views makes a really good e-cigarette that I don't like anymore, but if I had to go back to it, I would. Because, like I said, you're not getting that smell on you. And it doesn't quite do, because when you smoke those, like if you puff on them every so often, you'll get really high, like on the nicotine, because they're made like one of those cartridge deals that looks like a cigarette. You're looking at, I think it's like 2.5 packs worth of nicotine in that. So if you're going through one of those cartridges a day, it's a bit much. But if it's safer, then that's what I'll do, because I really don't want to go back to regular cigarettes unless they make them smell good. I told my husband, I said, if I have to, I guess I'll smoke cigarillos, because I don't notice cigar smokers stinking. Because regular cigarettes, when you quit, you realize that smokers stink. And it doesn't matter what you do, because trust me, I worked hard not to smell like cigarettes. I didn't smoke in closed spaces. I made sure that I didn't smell it bad. But when I get out of the gym, out of the shower, I would bring my clothes up to my face, and I would smell it. I mean, I'd have to really like inhale, because I was very careful about smoking. And the few times I've had a cigarette since I started vaping, I can smell it on my hair. So I have to wash my hair that night because I don't like it. So I can't really go back to that. So I'm really hoping that these are anomalies, or that it's something big tobacco or is cooked up or something. Maybe it's just that these kids are just overusing the shit. Because chances are you're going to get sick before you smoke enough classic cigarettes to get nicotine poisoning. Because I mean, you got to think of what you got to do. Like you'd have to be smoking like 3 or 4 at a time. Whereas, which I don't know. I mean, when they say like, oh, they'll smoke 3 pods a day, there's a lot of smokers that smoke 3 packs a day. I've never understood how they can do that, but they do that. And I know I went through them pretty quick if I was on a video game bender. Those times you don't eat, you don't drink, but you sure as shit smoke. um, I mean, I hate that aspect about myself, that I have to have something. And let me tell you, like lollipops do not work for me. There's no, oh, I'll just have a lollipop. No, because I like candy. I can have a lollipop and smoke a cigarette at the same time. It doesn't stop me, because it's not, I know it's not the nicotine, because everybody, when you wake up in the morning, if you've gone, I believe it's like 4 or 5 hours, if you've gone 4 or 5 hours without a cigarette, the nicotine has left your body. And so everybody, when they get up in the morning, they're not wanting that cigarette because they're fiending for nicotine. It's the psychological aspect of it, that, hey, this is my habit. I wake up, I smoke a cigarette. Just like people who wake up and have a cup of coffee. When you have them change that, they're bad, they're negative, like, oh, I'm so dead today because I didn't have my cigarette and my coffee. I'm not ready for my day because I haven't done this. Because that's part of your ritual. Um, and those are hard to give up. And this ritual I've had for a long time. And I don't know if they've ever done studies on it, because I have not looked it up, because I just thought of it. But I would imagine that they've done studies, and they've probably found that most people who cannot quit smoking are mentally ill. Um, and it's probably like a subconscious self-harm thing, that you're like, I need to kill myself slowly. Um, do and I'm not always 100% sure. They'll say cigarettes cause lung cancer. People get lung cancer who never smoke. you know I mean, I've noticed that, like, people who drink and smoke, they get curable cancers. when you meet somebody and it's always like, it's not fair. She didn't drink or smoke. She worked out. She ate right. And she's got this incurable cancer. So to me, it just seems like you're going to fucking die anyway. You know, how do you know that you're guaranteed those 10 years, those 20 years? You don't. Because you could have a different kind of cancer pop up. And I'll tell you what, if I got lung cancer, I'd be upset about it. Can't say I wasn't warned. But if then I found out I had another cancer that was incurable, I would be like, well, fuck, I was going to die anyway. I'm glad I didn't make myself suffer with weight gain and not knowing what to do with my hands and being nervous and just weird, you know? I mean, it'd be nice. Well, I don't know if you'd want to know when you're going to die. That's always like, would you rather things, you know? Do you want to know the exact way you'll die or the exact day you'll die? You know, do you really want to know? And I kind of do. I mean, I wouldn't want to know the exact, you know, like if they said you're going to die in your 70s, I'd say, well, hey, you know, it's a pretty good life. I'm going to have fun. If that's my fate, that's my fate. You know, if they say you're going to die in your 50s, I'd be like, well, wait a minute. You know, what's killing me? I'd want to know what kills me. Because if you die in your 70s, I mean, if I die of cancer in my 70s, you know, it's like a lot of things can kill you. I mean, my dad died now. I mean, he didn't take really good care of himself. I mean, I'll admit it, he was diabetic. He wouldn't follow a strict diet. You know, he wasn't a huge guy, but he was always overweight. And he tried, but he was mentally ill. He liked food and beer. So he went out happy because he didn't deny himself those things anymore. He didn't finish off a 6-pack anymore, but he'd go get himself a beer every day. One beer, you know. And he died at 70 from a brain bleed, basically. And, you know, my mom didn't smoke, didn't drink. She got ALS. So, but she still got to be 70. Or she was about to be 70. But she still got there. You know, I mean, it wouldn't have mattered if she was smoking or drinking or doing drugs. She was going to get ALS. And it's the aggressive kind. So, I mean, it's not like it really mattered. So, when I think about vaping and smoking and all of that, I just think, what if I've got something that I don't want to be alive for anyway? You know, like if I had Parkinson's real bad, you know, or whatever, you know, I mean, you just don't know. It's like I told my husband, I said, I could walk into the door because my depth perception sucks. I can walk into the door and happen to knock my head just right to burst an aneurysm that I don't know is in my head and die. I mean, just in a click, dead. You know, there's so many. I mean, if you really want to get like hypochondriac, watch Dr. G, medical examiner, because every time she looks at somebody, it's like, oh, well, you know, this didn't, oh, I found this. This was going to kill him, but this ain't what killed him. But he didn't have long. You know, so it's like, oh. So the thing, you know, this guy had like 4 things wrong with him that were going to kill him, but that's not what killed him. You know, so it's kind of like, how can you really say that what happens to some people wasn't destined to happen? That if it wasn't this thing, it'd be something else that they had going on. It just happened to be this thing that got them. You know, so that's kind of how I have to be optimistic about it and just say, you know, well, hey, nobody's promised tomorrow. You can die in a car wreck, aneurysm, stroke. You can have a heart defect that you don't know about. You can be a sleepwalker and you slice your leg open real good and you bleed out. You know, I mean, there's crazy freak shit that happens sometimes. I mean, I had a friend that died. He was drinking with a buddy, and now I don't know exactly how it went, but the buddy ended up suffocating my friend and he died. So it was a freak accident. I don't know if they were fighting or wrestling or if dude just happened to pass out and landed on his head. I don't know. But I do know that that my friend suffocated to death. And his friend was the cause of it. But they were both drinking. They were both drunk. And I mean, you're not promised anything. And that guy, I don't know if he's out of prison yet. I'm thinking he got manslaughter charges. But he lost part of his life, a good part of his life, going to jail. And maybe missed out on some things. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. Don't know that dude's story. But we're not promised tomorrow. Anything can happen, and things do happen. I would trade places with a little kid that's 5 years old and is dying of leukemia. I would trade places with him because I'd say, you know what? I want them to have a life. Even if they only make it to my age. If I could give them that, I would trade. Because I want kids to have more time. If you have time to start a family, get them pretty good and raised, you've had a good life. You can say, well, hey, there's a lot of people that don't get that. So hopefully the vaping thing will not be a problem because I actually like it. And I smell like coconuts and pineapples instead of cigarettes. Because I know people who do the tobacco ones, and I'm like, why? Tobacco tastes so nasty. My husband thought he'd have to do tobacco. And it could also be like those kids, those people having that problem. You got to look into what juice were they vaping. Like some of the juices are really acidic. Like my husband brought up the point, what if they were doing menthol? Maybe it's the menthol. I used to vape like atomic fireball. Fucking awesome. But, cinnamon can be very toxic to your lungs if I remember correctly. Like you're not supposed to inhale cinnamon, it'll irritate your lungs. So perhaps if they're using real cinnamon, it's not a good idea. It could just be the particular juice that they were using did that to them because not all of the juice companies are producing they've all got to pass certain standards, but then there's other standards on top of that some implement to be like, I guess it's kind of like when you go to like being pure and clear, you know, on like detergent, saying this won't harm the wildlife when it goes through your sewage, well, it's kind of how it is with the vape oil. Some of them, the quality control is extra high. They make sure that they've got the best ingredients, whereas some, it might just be they just pass standards. The average consumer wouldn't really know that. You just go in and you say, hey, what do you got that's got mango in it? And they say, oh, we got these. And if you like menthol stuff, well, they got lots of menthol. And if menthol's what's doing it, ooh, that's bad. But I really don't like the guy trying to blame, well, the kid had THC in his system. THC ain't burning holes in anybody's lungs. Fuck that. Weed don't do shit like that. Weed ain't hurting anybody. I don't smoke it, but I know it's not hurting anybody. You are chill as fuck. Like, person can get up in your face and call you the worst fucking name in the book and you'll be like, cool. You got Twinkies? You're like, I ain't getting up off this couch to whoop your ass. Nah, fuck it. So, come on. Weed's like the safest drug that there is, but Big Pharma doesn't want you to know that because they lose money if people start treating illnesses with cannabis. And God forbid that. I'm not going to get into that though. That's a whole other topic that I have discussed. So I am going to go. I got a snoring cat beside me named Tuffy. Or is it Butters that's snoring? One of them is. I got 4 cats right next to me. So anyway, I'm going to hang out with these pussies. You have a good night.